Hello, Mark here from Success with Options. We're back to review a calendar spread trade we put on a couple of weeks ago. We're in expiration week, and options will expire on Friday. So we want to go ahead and review this trade and decide what potential actions we're going to take with regard to the position. Remembering that we have a 2-month calendar spread on, so we want to look at some of the choices we have ahead of us and see what we want to do. So we're about just over 2 weeks into this trade, and today is Tuesday, the Tuesday before expiration, and we're at a point where we need to make a decision about what to do with this calendar spread that we're in. What we see is that already, since we put the position on, both due to time eroding and due to the stock pulling back, we actually had a little bit of a nice pullback yesterday. And we can see that pulled back to the moving average, and so this is probably an opportune time to take to actually roll that position into the next month. We have an August-June calendar, and so what we could do is roll the June position into July, making it a August-July calendar. So what I'm going to do is open up the position, right mouse click over the June position and select create rolling order, and we see that it sets us up the order right here. And what it's going to do then is it will close out our short June and create a new short July in its place, effectively creating a roll. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that order, and then while that's happening, I want to talk a little bit about some of the criteria or review the criteria that we had. If you remember, when I entered the trade, I said that the goal for this position was that it would pull back ultimately to 90, and we'd be able to collect probably the largest amount of credit on the close of this position. However, there were a couple of things that might make us want to exit early. One would be if we continue to move up and we got closer to this, there's the close, so there's the order completed. What we wanted to do was, if this position continued to move up above 95 and we got closer to our expiration week and we weren't seeing the expected pullback, then I would simply close the position, because obviously it wasn't doing what I expected it to do. And it may be that I have too short a term time frame, but there's other trades out there, and certainly we could enter into a new calendar spread if we thought we were still going to see a pullback. So that's kind of my thinking on that. As it turned out, we got our pullback yesterday, and it worked out just as well for us that we were able to do the roll with a couple of days before expiration, and now we're into the new month. And effectively what we've done is, if you remember, we put that spread on for a debit of $2.55, and what I've done here is roll the spread for a credit of $1.60. So we have less than half of the initial credit to pay. In fact, we have less than $1 left to make back on the next roll or the close if we need to. So so that puts us in a good position. It takes off some of our risk in the trade, and if the worst possible scenario happens and this thing becomes worthless, then I've only actually lost $1.60. I'm sorry, I've only actually lost 95 cents in this trade, because I just locked in $1.60 worth of credit by doing that roll. One other thing that I wanted to talk about while we're on this trade management is a trade journal for this position. And I didn't talk about it when I set it up, but it's probably a good time to talk about it now. What I typically do, and I talked about this in the vertical spread trade, is I like to keep a trade journal on each of my trades that allows me to kind of track my my progress, and I can go back and review the position and see what decisions I use to enter the position, what decisions I use to close the position, and so forth. And it's a great way to learn how to improve on my trading. So what I typically do is in a Word document, I will capture the image. I like to capture the date that I entered the trade, and then I will capture some things about the trade. Like here we have that it's a SPY August-June put calendar. I forgot to put on the fact that it was a $90 put calendar. I'll have to fix that. That I put it on for a $2.55 debit, and in some positions or some trades, I can actually calculate a ROI going in. In the case of a calendar, it's pretty difficult to do such a thing, so I didn't do that. But I did also capture some of my exits. And as I mentioned earlier, if the SPY doesn't pull back by the June expiration, meaning we're wrong, then I'll exit. Or if I can close a trade and lock in 40% ROI on the trade right off the bat, then I'll go ahead and do it right there, because there's no point in holding that trade for a period of time if I've got a guaranteed 40% on that trade. That's a pretty decent return, and I've done better. I've seen better on a trade, but boy, if I can get 40% on a trade and I've only been in the trade for a couple of weeks, I'll close that position and go look for something else to put my money into, because as time goes on, that 40% could turn into zero or a loss. So I think we have to be not too quick to take our profits, but we need to make sure that we're taking our profits when we have the opportunity. And then the final one that I put is that I want to roll within 4 to 7 days of expiration on any pullback. I also made a note on the 12th, which was Friday, that we're at the 5-day point, and as of Friday, I wasn't seeing any pullback. So, you know, I still had that note in mind that our number one exit here, we would exit the whole trade if we didn't see any kind of a pullback. And fortunately, we did, and I was kind of expecting it because we were pretty overdue. If you look at the chart here, we kind of rallied up right after. Let's see, we entered the position. So we entered it kind of at the top of this channel, and then we just kind of moved along and didn't go up, didn't go down, and then finally we got a nice big gap down yesterday. So that really helped us on our calendar position. Again, the reason that it helped us is it moved in our direction. Also, volatility was up as a result of the stock pulling back. And then the third thing that helped us in this trade was the fact that time had passed, and that meant that the short calendar that I had, or the short strike that I had in June, was diminishing in value much faster than the August. And so the combination of those three things is what caused that position to gain in value. And then one final point I wanted to make on the trade was that if we wanted to just look on a per month, what's my return on a per month? Well, I entered the trade for $2.55. So $2.55 over 2 months is about $1.27 per month, if you want to think of it that way. Well, if we just close the trade for $1.60, that's a 33-cent profit on this month's part of the trade. So we already saw like a 25% ROI on this part of the month. It's a little bit deceptive to calculate it that way because we don't know how the whole trade's going to end up, but it's sometimes good, at least helpful for me to be able to get a picture of kind of how I'm doing on a month-to-month basis. So anyway, with that, we're in a August-July position now, and we'll let that continue to ride out. We'll look for opportunities to close that with a profit, and hopefully we'll be able to do so. But again, if nothing happens, if we don't see the expected results, then I'll go ahead and close the trade as well, hoping to be able to capture as much of the remaining value as possible. I hope you found this video helpful. What you've just seen is an overview of calendar spreads as a trading strategy and an example of trading them. Successful options trading is not just a matter of knowing how to construct a trade or how to enter or exit the trade. Successful options trading is built around a trading system that includes a trading plan with rules for selecting the stock or ETF, rules for selecting the options, rules for entry and exit, and rules for money management. These elements help produce consistency, and that is the #1 attribute of a successful options trader. For more information on options strategies, building an options trading system, or options broker reviews, and more, please visit www.successwithoptions.com. Thanks and happy trading.